What's going on, everyone? Time for a serious talk. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably already know what I'm going to be talking about in this video. I do want to highlight a few things, though. Give you all some pointers for future PC shipments, because I definitely learned my lesson this time. I'm not going to go after UPS. I'm not going to say that it was completely their fault. I think that the way that I packed it wasn't the best. I will admit that. But we had an incident where the winter build, which you can check out the build log process in these videos here, was destroyed upon being shipped to Vegas for CES 2018. So I'm going to show some before and after clips throughout this video. It won't be a very long one, but I do want to elaborate a bit more on what I noticed with the package when it arrived in Vegas, and some of my suspicions I do want to talk about as well regarding how UPS handled the package, because it does look like things were tampered with. It's not like they just opened the box to inspect what was inside, especially if it's being sent via air, which I believe it was. I think it was 3-day air for UPS, but they intentionally opened the PC and then proceeded to move around stuff in there. Like I had, empty tubes, so I basically drained all the fluid. There was a bit of fluid left that kind of sprayed once the tubes had become detached from their fittings and what have you. That's not a big deal, simple cleanup, but there was much more than just a minor fluid spillage all over the components. There were cracked tubes, there were missing screws for the standoffs on the motherboard. Difficult for me to wrap my mind around how screws managed to unscrew themselves in shipping, okay, especially when they're torqued on as tightly as possible without stripping the thing, which is what I made sure that I did before I shipped it, because look, I'm going to be honest, and I think anyone else who works at UPS or FedEx or USPS, any shipping company, they're not going to treat things with the utmost care, okay? They're just trying to get these packages as quickly as possible to their destinations, and I think that the winter build really took just the blunt force of typical shipping company handling. It looks like it was tampered with beyond belief, and it was so destroyed when I found it in Vegas that I decided it was just a lost cause. I literally told Chris, I said, take this back to LA with you, tear the thing apart and just send back the components piece by piece, because it's just not salvageable. So that's exactly what happened. We showed up at Caesar's Palace, and Chris from Be Quiet brought us upstairs, said, hey dude, your PC is pretty messed up. We need you to, try to work your magic and see if you can salvage this thing. Of course, though, it was so bad, you're seeing in the pictures now, that this thing was just scratched beyond belief. It looks like someone took like a Phillips head screwdriver and just chewed through the paint. I don't even know what in the case could have done this. This was a custom painted GPU bracket, and it was just completely shredded. There were just fried screws at the back where it looks like somebody tried to, remove a graphics card that wasn't in there. Thank God the graphics card wasn't in there, because if it had been, I think that would have been stolen. If it wasn't stolen, then maybe it would have just been completely destroyed. I don't know which one's worse. Can I claim either one? Probably not with a company like UPS. So what I want you to take away from this little video, if you want kind of a moral of the story, be sure that you take pictures of the product you're shipping before you ship it, and then have the party who receives the package also take pictures, because then you'll have a before and after. If you want to make a claim with UPS, then you'll have that proof. Without it, you have no case at all. Also, be sure to purchase insurance. Another funny story, this whole shipping process and arrival, it was just all a bunch of bad luck, because the PC was ready to go, early to mid-December. I shipped it to the address that Be Quiet had sent me, because they're coming from Taiwan, so they have to pick it up basically in LA. Makes no sense to ship it to Taiwan and have them come back here with it, and it's just more money, and it's a hassle. So they shipped it to LA, or I shipped it to them in LA, and I didn't realize this at the time, but the destination was actually the NCIX warehouse, or HQ. It's not really the HQ, but it's a big warehouse that NCIX used to run, and of course now they are bankrupt. So I don't know what exactly was going on there. It was a refused package is what it ended up being. They sent the package back to me with maybe 2 weeks to go before CES, so that was already the first red flag. We were really upset about that, because I feel like the PC had already, been through enough, right? It had already been through one entire shipping round. I think it was shipped via UPS ground, which is probably a bit better for a PC than shipping it via air, because then, they might find the need to open the package and see what is inside before it jumps on a plane. But the second time I ended up shipping it via air, I'm pretty sure, because it was 3-day shipping, they didn't say, but I'm pretty sure 3-day has to be air from Florida to California anyway. And that, I think, is when everything went far, far south. I think that's when the PC just got wrecked. I think that's when they opened it up and when they started tampering with everything, because look, some of these people have never seen anything like this before. Full-on custom cooled PC, you know, I bet that looks pretty hot in an X-ray. Now, for those wondering how I packaged the case, it was pretty rudimentary, not gonna lie, and that's why I can't really go after UPS only here. This was partly my fault as well. I shipped the thing in the original case box along with the foam inserts there to keep things rather stable. Also used a bed sheet. I stuffed it inside the case to keep the tubes in place, especially if they decided to come loose later, they wouldn't scratch any of the components inside. So when the build arrived at Caesar's Palace, I noticed two things that made me extremely irate. First off, the bed sheet that I had stuffed inside the case was removed. It was only sitting in the box between the case and the box itself. So it had been removed. That means that the left side panel had been taken off, and they were doing something on the inside of the case. I'm sure that there's, there were probably some old folks in there who had never seen anything like this and were like, well, we need to check this out because it looks pretty suspicious. We got random pipes running everywhere and blah, 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 blah. Okay, that's the problem with stuff being sent via airplane. Second off, there were some very obvious things missing from the build when it arrived in Vegas. There were screws that were missing that were supposed to be, jacked into the motherboard standoff, so those were gone, like all three of them on the right side. There were screws on the back that were supposed to hold the graphics card in place that were just, half-assed back in there, like somebody had just scrambled to get them back on before they were supposed to send it on the plane or whatever. Like they were in a rush and they were trying to remove stuff and they couldn't figure out what was missing. Like there was no graphics card in there, thank God, because I feel like that would have been wrecked straight up. Would have just been completely destroyed, and that's easily $1,000. That's a 1080 Ti in today's market. But back to shipping in general, I don't think that the way I packaged it ultimately led to this destruction of the PC. I think that it was either dropped from 5 feet or higher, or it was intentionally tampered with and just wasn't reset the way that I had it originally. Look, the bed sheet was going to cushion everything. Even if the motherboard fell off, the bed sheet was there. It was stuffed with that thing, and I figured it would at least protect the inside of the case. The outside of the case, at least the foam was there, but it was a pretty heavy build. So the way I see it, somebody probably tried to pick it up and it dropped, and they probably heard something break in there, and so they opened up to check on things, and they're just like, oh God, let's just put this back in here and send it and hope no one cares. So I'm not going to go after him. I don't really think I have a case anyway. I have no insurance. I had insurance the first time I sent it. That bad luck resulted in a resend, and on my part, I messed up when I didn't buy insurance the second time just because I guess I was too cheap. So lesson learned there. I won't say that Pelican cases are the end all be all only way to ship PCs, because the other guys, I think it was Envious Mods, who had their PC shipped to the Be Quiet suite, also had theirs destroyed, and theirs was in a Pelican case, much nicer packaging than mine, and it still ended up doing the same thing. I think my odds would have been better if I'd packaged it that way, but still, I think shipping with UPS was my mistake in the first place. So I'm sorry you guys didn't see the PC at CES. I was so excited to show you guys and just kind of like, oh, check out this PC build here from, who's this channel? Science Studio. And just, I was seriously, I was excited for it. I was really proud of myself for putting that build together in time for CES. And it is no longer with us. I'll be receiving the parts back soon. Maybe another white build in the future. I just wanted to give you guys an update. I hope that you're not angry at me for this. I mean, if anything, it's a learning experience for me. I'm not going to hide anything like that from you guys. Just don't make the same mistakes I did. Definitely don't ship your PC, with a 3 or 4 day rush period. Even if you have the words fragile on the box everywhere, which I made sure it had, that's not going to stop people from dropping your box and or opening it and tampering with what is inside. That's all I have for this video. Stay tuned for some legit science content on the channel. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.